Okay, so after your book, was published, then what happened? Like, I mean, we know each other, so I know what's the next thing you did. But like, what happened in between, and then like, what was the thing after that?
So I mean, it's not it's not like a magical moment after the book was published and I achieved enlightenment. There wasn't anything like that. But I think after the book was published, so it's I think we need to reverse a bit, because basically we finished the book, I guess, right after shortly after NS, and then it only got published last year, but that was just a delay on the publisher's end. But right after, NS kind of thing, I guess we all have that, for everyone here who's listening and who's done national service, typically what happens is you do have a few months before going into university.
Yeah.
And I think that's the time where I would advise, I mean, not everyone does this, but you go and explore sort of your passions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could also use it to study whatever it is that you're going to go into university, but you won't get another time like that in your life. So I advise you to sort of just go and explore your passions. At the time, for me, the passion was martial arts.
Nice.
I think
Yeah,
Marcus himself is a big fan of martial arts.
Yeah.
So I used to do, I did like Olympic wrestling, I did Muay Thai, I did boxing, and I competed for a bit as well. I even went to Thailand to train with these Thai world champions who basically, all they've known about their life was fighting. That's how they got out of poverty. I think that was quite an eye-opening, interesting experience. I also managed to travel the world a bit before sort of going back into university, which was at Yale and US College.
Right.
So I think that's when the new stuff, so that's when my next project started to begin, me being me, just very restless as a university student. People were joining these societies and stuff, and I was like, the societies aren't really for me. I need my own project, and it's quite a funny story, right? But basically, I don't know if the camera can see this, but like I'm a big fan of like wearing shorts, as a guy. So
that's not your product, right?
It's not my product. Okay. It's not my product. I'm a big fan of wearing shorts as a guy. I mean, guys who go to the gym who do a lot of squats, we will know this, but it's jeans and stuff, not super comfy, So and then at the same time, I was seeing like, for females, there are all these like fashion brands and stuff, and there are these brands that exclusively sell like women's shorts. And then in my head, I was like, why isn't there? No, there are brands that sell men's shorts, right? Yeah. Don't really see them in Singapore. Why isn't there like something like that? I mean, it's a bit of a silly idea. I remember I was in a lecture. So in Yale and US, we had this like really massive sort of lecture halls. We were like on the upper floor, and then there were like two guys next to me, right? And after the end of the lecture, I didn't even know these guys because it was like first or second week of uni, right? We were like right after orientation. I turned left, I turned right. I was like, you guys want to sell men's shorts? And then after that, like we went out and we talked a bit more, and that's how the first my first real startup was born. It was called Man's Best Friend. Yeah.
Okay, we'll put that in the description also. But is there any reason why you chose those two people? Like, or it's just like random? Like...
To be honest, no real reason. when we actually got into it, we realized like, crap, we should have thought more carefully about people in the team, right? Because you just had these three guys. None of us were fashion designers, and we were trying to get into like the fashion industry. So I would love to tell you there was like a big reason. There really wasn't. Yeah.
So how did the idea like continuously grow and grow? I mean, like I know like some people are trying to do fashion as well, and they're telling me like, it's super hard with all the manufacturers and things like that. So I mean, for someone who knows jack shit about fashion, how do you get it off the ground?
Yeah, I mean, another thing about entrepreneurship is that you realize that you can talk about things, you can do things with very little knowledge. I mean, that's interesting. Basically, it means that it's very easy to bullshit. But anyway, how did that sort of begin? I think, one thing in general, and for startups in general, when you get into it, there's so many businesses around. Just walk outside of your house, just go to any built up the city area, you see so many businesses, F&B, residential. It's a very competitive space. So from day one, you need to be thinking about how are you different. I mean, it's possible to compete by being the same, but it's just a lot more difficult. So for us, I guess the first step was like, okay, we're doing men's shorts, right? So not many people are doing men's shorts. That's kind of different. But how do we add even more differences to that? And then one interesting thing that I thought of was like, so you look at this camera here, you look at this microphone here. Did we even have these things like? We probably only had these things in the last 100 years. If you look at the 1800s, it didn't exist, right? Computers are quite a recent invention in the last 60 or 70 years. But the clothes that we wear 2,000 years ago, it's the same thing. Now maybe there are more designs, but it's the same cotton base, it's the same yarn. Why is it that, fashion hasn't developed in the same way that other technologies have developed, right? Especially because it's things we wear every day, right?
Yeah.
So then I was thinking like, okay, so why not we do like fashion technology, right? And I guess at first we had all these grand ideas for like, you wear like the shirt and then like it can like measure your biometric data, and you can like
so it didn't really
you can
just
change
start
your
with
temperature
shorts,
and stuff. Sorry?
It didn't really start with shorts.
Oh, sorry, it started with shorts. So at first it was like, I think in the ideation process things get a bit messy.
Oh, I see.
So we wanted to do shorts first, but we were thinking about the future. We sell all these like high tech like gear. So with shorts, maybe it can compress a bit more when you exercise and stuff. Whatever. Like we just had these crazy ideas, right? And that's the most fun part of a startup when you come up with crazy ideas. But then reality hits and you're like, okay, what can we actually do?
Yeah.
What's really slick? And then we realized that one thing that was already out there was nanotechnology, which basically means that you just so you have your shorts, right, and all things there's gaps between the particles.
Okay.
We use nanotechnology. It basically seals the gaps together. So that means that essentially, if you pour water on your shorts, it will just slip right off. So you don't get stains and stuff. So I think that was the initial USP that we were going for. And then the second thing was that...
you mean the waterproofing?
The waterproofing, the stain proofing.
Okay.
That was the initial angle we were going for. Then I think after that you realize that, hey, what other USPs can we add to it? We realized that a lot of the consumers at around this age range, they are increasingly conscious about the environment, right? So, and at the same time, when it's like stain proof, waterproof, it requires less washes. It is more environmental, right? And but to even improve that even more, we were thinking about, okay, let's actually source materials, right? So we decided to source like bamboo rather than pure cotton. Let's source materials that are more friendly to the environment.
Right.
So I think those were like the two initial USPs. And then we started the product development from there. I mean, eventually we found like a fashion designer as well, to create that. But it really only, I guess again, it's kind of like this, right? We come up with the idea, it's up and down, up and down, up and down. But then we managed to get featured on the Straits Times.
Damn.
So again, it's to reach that big breakthrough, right? Every entrepreneur will tell you the same thing, unless you're really lucky. It's about hustling, right?
Yeah.
I think that's. I think when you get into entrepreneurship, you learn a lot about yourself as well. So I learned that I'm quite a hustler, right?
Yeah.
So I probably send emails to about like 200 journalists, and 199 of them didn't actually reply, because again, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
They don't even have a product. They've never sold anything before. But one journalist replied, and then we got on the Straits Times, and we actually got quite a few sales from the article there.
Wow. Okay.
That's a brief summary of that journey.
So actually I was gonna say this, but one thing I admire about you is that you're very resourceful. Like you can find ways to do things, although like it's not exactly like conventional also. But something I realized is that maybe part of being resourceful is to just keep going at it. Will you say that? Like for example, you mentioned the journalist thing.
Yeah, definitely. Resourcefulness, I don't know. I feel like I've always been... for those of you who've played Club Penguin, there used to be a membership My parents refused to pay for the membership, so I spent like 6 hours googling how to hack membership Club Penguin kind of thing. I think it's always been, I don't know, maybe it was those days, but I think it's always been my dad also always used to say this thing, which is like, I can't do it, and no, that's always the easy answer. The difficult answer is finding the solution. So
Right.
I've always believed that there's whatever you want to do, whoever you want to be, there's a solution there. It may not be the easiest thing, but if you really want it, you need to go and chase it, lah. Yeah.
I
there's
was
another
just
part of your
saying,
question.
like for resourcefulness, is it more of just like keep going at it?
I think it's about keep going at, but you also need to be you need to be intelligent about sort of where you're looking, lah, right? You need to know exactly what you want so that your efforts are directed like in the most efficient way possible. But at the end of the day, it's hustle. Like the other day, I was watching this masterclass by Sarah Blakely.
Oh yeah, I watched that as well.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Spanx, right?
Yeah, Spanx. When she started, she sort of, she mailed her product to the retailer. And it's difficult, right? Because in a retailer, they hold like probably thousands of brands, hundreds of brands. You won't, stand out. What she did was she actually sent money to her friends, and she told her friends, okay, go and buy my product. I'll give you money to buy the product. So then it looked like Spanx was super popular.
Yeah.
But actually no one really knew about it. It
Yeah.
was just her friends buying the goods. And then when it's popular, the retail store sort of
pushed it out.
pushes it more, keeps it. She even went, as a CEO, she went down to these department stores. She also, got her friends, I don't know, she paid people to stand around like the Spanx items, right? And the people would actually come down and say like, hey, the department store people would say, hey, you can't be here. You shouldn't be here, right? Why are you like crowding up the place? But she still kept doing it.
Yeah.
And the end of the story, during masterclass, she said she's confident that, so there was this day where this couple came up to her, right? And saw her doing all these things, and this couple said, hey, who are you? And she said, oh, I'm actually the founder of this like Spanx brand. And the couple actually said to her, what? You're the founder and you have nothing better to do than stand around and
be a
sell
salesperson.
things. Yeah. And she at the time she was shocked, but in retrospect she said she was confident that if she hadn't done that grunt work, the department store would have just mailed her back her item and wouldn't have sold.
True.
So there's no substitute for grinding, as it were.
Yeah. True.